And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We've got the president getting ready to once again plead his case before the entire nation when we're talking about the State of the Union. Of course, join us at Dave & Buster's, 901-3800. That's 901-3800. That's going to be an outstanding event. And here's what the president had to say if you missed that interview from CBS.
And when I hear them talking about the fact that walls are immoral and walls don't work, they know they work.
Well, they know they work because, in fact, everybody that's a Democrat, whether it's Obama or Nancy Pelosi, has a wall when it comes to their house, right?
I think the Democrats don't want border security.
Well, and that's exactly what the president has to say when it comes to border security. We'll talk about that coming up. Dave Petzo joins us now. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. Good to have you with us.
It's good to be here, Kevin.
So when we're taking a look at just the markets and what's going on, obviously it's pretty much go time. There are no more excuses. The Super Bowl is over. The Super Bowl ads are over. It's time to get to work, right?
It is. It is time to get to work. We're past that Christmas lull and into the new year, well into the new year, obviously. And, it's time to get rolling.
So what should we be looking out for?
Kevin, the earnings have been coming out, and they've been fine. It's nothing blockbuster, but they're certainly ahead of expectations, as we expect them to be. But now the market's reacting completely different than it did 3 months ago. 3 months ago, it was reacting to great earnings, incredible earnings, best, just off-the-charts great earnings, but it was going down. Now we're in okay earnings, good earnings, and the market is obviously completely different than it was in December. So looking forward, earnings look great. Corporations are doing well. And you saw the jobs report on Friday was killer. It was another amazing report.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because you still have a lot of people that are saying, hey, it's great for the markets, but it's not great for them individually. And people are worried about the end of a good run.
People have been worried about an end. You know, it's like that, the constant drivel about how we're in the late innings of this particular recovery. I think we're in the 20th inning of this late inning. It just keeps going and going and going. And it is an amazing recovery. But trying to figure out just by some date, like it's old, so we should think it's done, is really a silly exercise and has proven over the last several years now to really prove the pundits wrong. It's not late, it's not too late, and the economy continues to expand. You look at that jobs report on Friday, and you stop and you say, if this is a late-inning game, this is something else. I don't know where these guys get this energy, right, if it's this late in the game, because we're talking about 304,000 jobs, 500,000 people coming back into the workforce. This is early stage stuff. This is off of a steep. This is what we should have seen in 2009 and 10 at the beginnings of the recovery, not at this stage 10 years later.
Sure, but it's just kind of like a bad breakup. A lot of us never get over it, and many people still haven't gotten over what happened when the markets did take that tumble, and rather a big tumble.
Yeah, it did take a big tumble. There's no doubt about it. Occasionally the market does.
I mean, you would know. Hold on. You would know about that.
Yeah, I lived some of that. Yeah,
right,
I think I remember it. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. It was a terrible time. It was, and honestly, in October we didn't know if the market was going to recover. It was a terrible. What was going on in the credit markets with banks, the Federal Reserve having to step in. It was really something. It was a real different time. And I don't think we'll be seeing that again in my lifetime, anything like that. We'll see corrections, maybe full-blown bear markets where the market goes down substantially, but it'll be for a different reason. That was credit markets. That was really something, Kevin.
So when you are getting ready for the State of the Union and another government shutdown and tax returns and everything else, what are you forecasting?
I think it'll be the same. He'll be saying the same thing, and the Democrats will be saying the same thing that they say, which is that they're not going to support anything he supports. Happy babies and sunshine and rainbows. If that was what Trump was supporting, they would be against. And so I don't expect anything.
Well, thank you for that. All right, Dave Petzo joining us, the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio. One thing that fascinates me is Papa John's. You a big fan of Papa John's?
No, I'm not a big pizza guy.
Man, this is going to be a tough segment.
I know,
there,
I know.
I mean, you're not really giving me a lot here. So, Papa, well, that's what I get for asking the question. You know, whether the attorneys say never ask a question.
You don't know the answer. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Papa John's is a fascinating study of what happens when a business loses its founder. I mean, he was the face of Papa John's.
He was. Yeah.
And now they're trying to sell it. He's trying to get it. Who would have ever thought that this would happen based on this guy started it himself, and because of some things that he said, he's losing his company. What goes on in the battle for companies?
Yeah, it depends on who's in the battle, right? You have hedge fund managers, maybe you've got some bankers. It always depends on whether how much debt there is and what the circumstances are. You see that in radio with all the debt that there is in radio. These are bloody wars with bankers and stuff, right? You know, there's so much debt in radio. What, Kevin? Come on, you're a student of this of radio, and how much and how difficult it is. What is it? What is the Clear Channel gone? Clear Channel out. Who else is left? And they're battling with hedge fund managers and bankers. That's what they're battling with.
My bad. Sure, but let's go back to pizza.
Papa John's?
Right.
Pizza.
So when we're looking at pizza, when we're looking at here's this iconic company and the founder leaves, and then you have the battle over it, then you have people that are on the front lines just trying to earn a living. How does that impact them?
Oh, you can obviously, like you look at Sears.
Hold on.
Like
we can go back to radio and how it impacts them. But
Right. But we see that within. We certainly see that with job cutbacks at places like Sears as they're going through bankruptcies and all these other retailers. That's a good example of that.
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
yes.
This is the first time like you've ever rolled up your sleeves. I think during the commercial break you're going to work me over here. I mean, all of a sudden I feel like Jared Goff of the Los Angeles Rams against the Patriot defense.
I'm ready.
I can tell,
and I can tell you're ready. I mean, your Pats won. What do you? I mean, you got to be a pretty happy guy.
Sure, but this is kind of like the stock market. We're kind of due for a yin yang kind of day here, and this is all on me. So Dave Petzo's with us, the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial. And let's talk a little bit about the big game, because it seems that like entirely it's a media creation.
Yeah, it is.
Were you out in it yesterday at all?
Was I in the media creation?
Were you one of the people that went to the stores
or
went to see the game? I mean, it was a huge revenue generator for people that were just, the media programs us. Mm-hmm. You got to go get your chips. You got to go get this. I was reluctantly out in it, but just as an observer.
Really? You went out?
This great segment. I'm sitting here looking at this, but I mean restaurants, grocery stores, the gig economy where you have people Grubhub, Grub Warrior, or Grub this, where if you get something and, you call someone and they will personally deliver it to you.
Yes.
Like it used to be,
they were busy.
Right. Record day. So what does that entail? What goes into that?
Oh, it's just like every made-up holiday, Valentine's Day, all of these, they're all made up. This is like the Super Bowl. It's just a made-up thing so that the retailers can sell stuff. Mother's Day, Father's Day, the list goes on.
Now, I would never say that Valentine's Day is a made-up day, Dave.
Well, it most certainly is.
Where's your heart?
I love Valentine's Day. I'm not saying, but it's a totally made-up day,
You
right?
love Valentine's Day even though it's a made-up day? Is that like following fake news?
I'm just trying to save myself from my lady right now, so she's not going to be very happy with me.
You notice how I pounced on that for you.
I love that. Thank you for that. That's very helpful.
Thank you, Kevin, for helping
my love
us
life. Thank you.
So back to the Super Bowl, though.
Yeah.
A huge media creation. They have us watching the commercials.
They do. I know. People are watching the commercials for all the new announcements. You're right. It's a complete media creation. And it was also a game I thought was very interesting from the standpoint of one of the teams does not deserve to be there. One of the teams is hated by many, not you, but many, because they win all the time, right? So you have a really interesting Super Bowl where people may have been rooting for your Patriots just because the Saints should have been there, not the Rams, right? So it was an interesting Super Bowl, I thought, and I guess some of the ticket sales were, or I should say the ticket prices were a bit down from prior years. So Not as big a deal this year, but no, I laid low. I did not go out and participate in the overall economy's growth.
I figured you would because I was amazed and shocked that even though there were no Seattle Seahawks or Denver Bronco teams or even the California teams, people were really into it, and they've got you conditioned that you've got to watch the Super Bowl. And then you have people that their entire program will be, hey, did you watch the Super Bowl commercials?
Yeah, exactly, and we saw that on the news this morning, right? As like people are showing which commercials did people like the best. How was the halftime show? All those things that are just, to me, are just kind of weird behavior, but it's a media creation. You said it, Kevin. You said it best. But think of all these commercials they built up to, and they'll be running for the next several months on TV.
So back to my pizza thing. This is where I was going with Papa John's.
Super Bowl yeah, it fits.
So you had someone who invested in Papa John's, and their shares have gone up $200 million after Starboard, whoever they are, put money into it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these startups can be amazing when they hit. They're home runs. They're more than home runs. As you said, up to $200 million or whatever, yes.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller, our great friend Dave Petzo's with us after he straightens me out. You don't want to miss our next segment. KIDO Talk Radio. Alan, you never know who's going to show up at our State of the Union party, Dave and Buster's, 901-3800. You and I were joking. I said, look, if you show up, you would be mobbed. You'd have, Tea Party Bob, Terry from State College, Pennsylvania. I bet that if you show up, if I introduce you, you'll have people swarming you.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll bet you $1 because I'm going to be there.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, we're on.
All right, so back to the Super Bowl thing, the whole psychology of it all.
Yeah.
You have people buying merchandise. You have people, and these are people that are not even fans. So the NFL, I believe they got it right. No more cultural issues. No more Colin Kaepernick. We're not going to debate this stuff. We're going back to what Dave Petzo talks about. Making money.
Right.
Making money.
Well, and living life. It's just, why is everybody outraged about everything? There's always an outrage out there. We all have to be offended by stuff. And I thought that this just went way on past it. People enjoyed the Star-Spangled Banner and those two gals that sang America the Beautiful. Wasn't that cool? That was a really cool thing. I just thought that was wonderful. And I didn't see anybody kneeling or holding up signs about the great injustice or wearing hats on their heads and to make some kind of women are oppressed statement.
Right.
It was just football. It was America at its best, in my opinion. Is just this beautiful, let's go have some fun and not feel offended for a moment. And if your team wins, that's fine. But I'm going to scream and yell at you, and you can scream and yell at my guys, and that's just fun. That's just fun.
And you like the game.
I liked the game. I thought the game was very interesting. I couldn't believe that it wasn't 30-3, frankly, because they just absolutely destroyed the Rams. What was it? Eight punts in a row.
Eight punts in a row.
8 punts in a row. That's just incredible.
Right. You were focused on the game then.
I was. I just was. I did enjoy the game.
Right.
And I don't care about. You know that. I don't even like football.
I know.
Not professional. I like college football, but I don't like professional football.
So, did you watch the commercials?
No, not really. I didn't. None of them seemed good to me. Did they to you? Did you watch them?
I think the one that stole the show was the NFL celebrating 100 years.
Oh, that was a great commercial. You're right.
Yeah.
All the greats running around, jumping on the foot. Yeah,
the new greats, the old greats.
Yep.
And there's such a power of self-deprecation when you have Barry Sanders, and you and I remember Barry Sanders.
Yep.
One of the greats of all time, and then you have Emmitt Smith at the table going, I got more yards than him.
Yeah.
I got more yards than him. And then, you have the young players, the old players, and then you have, Terry Bradshaw, like Joe Montana, won 4 Super Bowls.
Yep.
And a lot of people just know him as the funny guy on Fox, reliving the Immaculate Reception with Franco Harris. Mm-hmm. And it was just, again, it had something for everybody. And if all commercials could be that way. I also thought the Bud Light commercials. And Bud Light, they got obnoxious because it seemed every break it was Bud Light, Bud Light, Bud Light.
Yes.
And then they mix in the HBO Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And boom, I thought, wow, now that was something. I think those were probably the two that caught my attention.
You're probably right. Because I yes, I know what Game of Thrones is, but I've not been sucked into the
Sure.
vortex of the Game of Thrones, so I don't care about it. So I understand that was the theme, but it didn't draw me in like it would have for a fan.
The millions of people that do follow
that
the show.
do follow the show, that live and breathe that show. Yes.
Yes. But again, it's like cheering for NASCAR. We're cheering for the commercials. I've always thought NASCAR was the most brilliant sport because we're watching a bunch of folks, doing left-hand turns, cheering for the DuPont Chevrolet or the Lowe's 48 or the Budweiser 9 or what have you.
Yeah, and it's only $250,000 if you want like this.
Right.
Yeah,
But
I got to see one of those shops one time that you would have been fascinated. Have you ever seen? They're just it's such big business now, right?
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Now, you went to Charlotte or did you go to
Charlotte.
The one,
It was in Charlotte. The guy that used to be with Gibbs.
Joe Gibbs.
Yeah, that was his shop.
Right.
Unbelievable. I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking about hundreds of employees to do this thing, and they were talking about how much it costs just to have like a name put on the tire.
Like maybe you'd want to sponsor NASCAR.
Oh yeah,
like
because it's
the Pezzo Chevy.
You're right. Yeah, and but the ones where you see like it's millions of dollars. They couldn't do these races without all the sponsorship money. It's incredible.
And the cool thing about that is you have that at the Meridian Speedway, the lower level, where people are, they do go to local businesses and they sponsor the cars and such. And
They do.
These people love it. There is one NASCAR company out of Denver. Martin Truex Jr. just left that company. I think they're called the Woods Brothers. They're the only NASCAR company outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're the only Western-based NASCAR company. They seem to do very well. They have like one or two cars. But back to the business.
Yes.
So is the NFL back after the Super Bowl?
I think so. Kevin. Now you're a big fan of it, but I have to agree with your assessment that it was just and the idea that this was just football. No statements, no outrage, nobody's trying to make a Kaepernick kneel that this is the worst country ever in all of history. All of those things where we just walk around offended. I am hopeful that some of that stuff has just been overdone.
Right.
I mean, the women I know don't feel outraged about their life and where they live, and I don't. Anyway, I just don't. I don't see.
They're probably outraged.
And the minorities
at you about,
that I know, the same thing.
They're outraged at you for your Valentine's Day comments. Now, usually, I'm the one that says those things, but
yeah, well, it is. It's a made-up day.
So to participate in Valentine's Day, would we be hypocrites to do that?
No, it's a made-up day. It doesn't mean you can't participate, right? I'm going to participate. I have to participate. We have to. You do too.
I hope that you do.
Actually, your wife will be very busy that day, won't she?
Yeah, for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
She'll be busy. Yeah.
Yep.
Brings in a big truck for her flower business and all that because of all the orders and such. However, this is fascinating, and you can appreciate this. People always talk about the prices going up for flowers and roses.
Right.
What I've learned is my small education of working or not working, watching my wife work at Hope Blooms Flowers and Eagle, is that they just pass on the profits. You don't, the wholesalers understand the roses are coming in, they raise the prices. So it's just passed on.
Got it. Everybody's marking up, is what
right?
you're saying.
So you just pass it on. So it's not like you're getting a bonanza. Somebody one day said, "Well, I'd like to get some roses," and I'm going, "Okay, this is the price." You got to be kidding me! I go, "No, dude, that's a deal."
Yeah.
Anyway,
buy them next week.
There you have it, Dave Pezzo. I wonder if you could do that. Anyway, finally, a topic we can all get into. You've got a Congresswoman Omar saying that the rich should be socked with 90% tax to pay for the Green New Deal.
Right.
What's your reaction?
Well, she's foolish. They are, and I understand they're pandering to the leftist base and also their own political power. Because what happens then is you confiscate 90%, which sounds pretty much like confiscation to me. And when that's the case, as President Kennedy found out, and we lowered the taxes from 90% down, tax revenues boom and the economy booms because people will not take that. They'll either tax shelter it, either legally or illegally, or you'll simply say, "Why would I work? I'm not going to work any more hours. I'm not going to expand that factory over there that employs people. Poor people do not employ people. It just isn't the case. And you can't legislate fairness. You can legislate to the point that people have equal opportunity, but you can't simply say in society that all people need to be equal no matter what their efforts or their abilities are. That's just absurd. It doesn't work that way. And all this idea that socialist experiment number 173, this time it'll work because we want it to work this time. It never works. It doesn't work. And as Lady Thatcher said so famously, socialism is a wonderful thing until you run out of people to pay for it. And that's the problem with it. It doesn't. Nobody.
Are you concerned though about the new socialists in the Democratic Party?
I am. I'm sure that for the Republican strategists that only care about winning rather than the country winning, that they're gleeful because I don't think people buy into this. There's far too many voters that know that socialism doesn't work, that the idea of just pandering to people is stupid. There are, people are just smarter than that. And I get you. If you're under 30, that you haven't had much of life and you don't think about things, so your feelings matter more than reality. And I get that. So you're going to have a good number of millennials that come along. But people, as life goes on, you realize that there are things that are wise and things that are not. And a pandering politician when you see one. And not new ideas or good ideas or workable ideas. Those are not. And there's just way too many of us out there that are not going to just vote for the left and for the right, no matter how ridiculous the candidates are.
Dave Petzo, he saved the segment, folks. Thank you. The Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, Money Matters. We appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate you, Kevin, always. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And now you can roll down your sleeves. We've made it through. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
And KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Phone numbers 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Let's go to Rachel Sutherland joining us, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. She's live from Capitol Hill. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So now that the Super Bowl is over, did the Super Bowl really capture the attention inside the Beltway as it does outside?
Oh, a lot of my friends were watching it and stuff, but I just think people overall were feeling kind of uninspired about the Super Bowl. I did not watch it, but I think a lot of people were just feeling like, oh, do the Patriots need to go again? Do they need to win again? So,
sure.
But yeah, there's Super Bowl parties all around.
Well, you were probably working. Honing your craft, going over the tapes, getting ready for segments like this across the country.
I actually watched a documentary last night. That one, Get Me Roger Stone,
Get Me
to learn more about him. So I guess I was working.
Sure, you probably wanted a break from the fallout of the governor of Virginia. Boy, what a press conference that was. Now, did you watch it, or would that be work for you? Because I watched it, and
I watched it just because I thought it was interesting, and also, it's news, so I watched it. It was bizarre because just the day before he was acknowledging that photo, that racist photo, and then to turn around and say it's not him, and then to segue into saying that he once put, did blackface for a Michael Jackson dance contest in which he moonwalked, and some reporter asked him if he could still moonwalk. It was just really bizarre.
Well, no, and his wife stopped him from doing that. It was bizarre. Is it as bizarre as the disconnect between the president and the intelligence community?
The intelligence community and this president has definitely had the kind of relationship that it's been strained from really the very beginning. It's no secret that President Trump thinks that rank and file members or some of the FBI was out to get him during the 2016 campaign. So he did tell Face the Nation, though. He was saying that the intelligence community, he wants them to give him their assessment of what's happening, and that, but sometimes he'll disagree with them. There are others who, like Democrat Mark Warner, who is the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, was upset that the president went on Twitter and said some intelligence officials need to go back to school, saying that was inappropriate. But you also have the other perspective. I was talking with our chief intelligence correspondent, Catherine Herridge, and she said, it really started a couple of years ago when some of these former intelligence officials, like you see former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, out on the cable circus. You would never see that so soon after an administration in previous years. So it's been this tense relationship between the two, but the president, sounding more upbeat about it, saying that he's on the same page with his intelligence officials.
Right, after a contentious last week. So the State of the Union, your thoughts on what we should expect?
Well, I think that the president will at least use part of the time to talk about border security and make another pitch. Now, there's been some kind of rumblings that he might make an announcement, like some are wondering, will he declare a national emergency in the middle of the State of the Union? That's another idea that he's been floating, that he would like to do that so he could use already appropriated money in the Pentagon's budget to build the wall. That is complicated legally. He has a legal right under National Emergencies Act to declare a national emergency, but it'll definitely be challenged in court. We'll have to see where it goes from there. So be looking for lots to talk about border security and other issues. I'm sure he'll talk about ISIS and North Korea, because he says there's a summit and a second summit coming up with leader Kim Jong-un. And as last year, I believe the State of the Union was the second longest in history, just under one by President Bill Clinton. So I don't know how long he plans to go, but it'll be interesting.
Well, you have to wonder if there's going to be a moment.
A moment?
Where he goes, Nancy, 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 or he's nice to Nancy. I just don't think that he can resist not having a moment.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not sure exactly. But from my memory of his State of the Union, it didn't seem, I don't remember any lines from last year that were kind of something you might hear at his campaign rallies. He generally takes on a different tone, but it'll be interesting with them in the same room together.
Right, considering, people are wondering if they're going to boo him and all sorts of crazy things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely could happen. I think that body language says a lot in these events. Democrats will at the very least be sitting on their hands.
Rachel, we so appreciate you. One quick question. Any movement on the shutdown, or do you think it'll go to the last minute again or another shutdown?
I think probably it'll get down to the wire. And then watch again for tomorrow night in case the president makes an announcement about that.
Fair enough. Rachel, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Rachel Sutherland joining us. Hey, here's something coming from the Boise Zoo. And since we are talking about Valentine's Day, you're going to love this. By the way, you're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Flowers, candy, something attractive, forget it. The Boise Zoo is offering a one-in-a-lifetime Valentine's Day present, and that's name a cockroach after your loved one. For just $10, you can participate in the zoo's Name a Cockroach campaign. It's pretty straightforward. You send over the money, and then you can name a cockroach. After getting the zoo approval for the name, it can be named after somebody special, your best friend, your favorite family member, according to the zoo's website. Now, this is a real story. Now, this is the third year the zoo has had the Name the Cockroach campaign. By the way, could you imagine that? Your most unusual Valentine's Day present. Well, what did you get? Honey, I got chocolate, I got flowers, I got a nice dinner, I got a bubble bath. I got a cockroach named after me. It is unique. And by the way, I really hope in the age of egalitarianism, in the age of the glass ceiling, and maybe you can help me out with this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, that since we're redefining the role of men and women in our society today, I think that it's only right that because we're not going to attack Valentine's Day, that was Kevin Miller in another incarnation, but the new, expanded, educationally developed Kevin Miller is urging that Valentine's Day be just not about men giving presents to women, because that would fit a stereotype that Kevin Miller likes. It would be, the natural, traditional American way of doing things. But since we're living in the world where we break glass ceilings and we've got a Costco Cortez and everything else and Bernie Sanders, now wouldn't Bernie make a lovely Valentine for somebody? Isn't that proof? Isn't that proof there's someone for everyone? Because to Bernie Sanders' wife, he's the perfect Valentine. Or to Hillary Clinton. I mean, nothing says Valentine's Day like Hillary Clinton, right? And that's from somebody that has a physique of a cherub. However, let's expand the reach of Valentine's Day. Let's have females give men flowers, candy, and everything else. I don't think it just should be just one thing. If we're going to destroy the glass ceiling and men and women are going to be treated equally, we're going to make the same amount of money, and we're not going to open doors, then let's go all out, the full enchilada, and redefine Valentine's Day. Like Dave Petzel was talking about. Show that person. It shouldn't hurt to be a male on Valentine's Day, right? And look, you always get more when you give than when you get. So why not? Think about that. And what's wrong with naming a cockroach after someone? Now, I'm just kidding on that one, but that would be truly a Valentine's Day that you would never forget. And you'd hear about it for many, many years. Liberty Linda joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Liberty Linda.
Good morning, Kevin. Valentine's Day is not made up. Aphrodite's son was playing with a bunch of arrows while his mother was talking to a man. Aphrodite's son put his arms up for his mother to pick him up, and when she picked him up, her son still was holding one arrow, and he accidentally struck his mother in the chest over her heart, and she immediately fell in love with the man standing in front of her. So that's where the story came from. And Valentine is a descendant of Aphrodite. So there it is for everyone.
Now, wait a minute.
to know.
How can you fall in love with someone if you've got an arrow in your heart?
Well, she didn't die. It just stuck her in the chest. But
It's
anyway,
kind of like that
that's the
song
story.
from. It's kind of like that song from a group in the '80s called ABC. Shoot that poison arrow. You remember that song?
No, I don't.
Oh, shocking.
But it sounds like a good comparison. But that's where we get Valentine's Day, because I guess it actually happened.
Well, what
And
would you do if somebody got you a cockroach for Valentine's Day? If they named a cockroach after you?
I think they were my worst enemy. What would we want to be named after a cockroach for? That's really kind of what I would call icky poo.
So you would not think that it was a good thing, huh?
No, of course not. No, absolutely not. But what I'd rather talk about is the Patriots. I was so excited last night. A 6th Super Bowl win. And it was such an exciting game. I just couldn't hardly. The last half was absolutely marvelous. I mean, I was sitting on pins and needles. I just can't say enough for it. It was an absolutely wonderful game. And, I know Tom Brady says he's going to retire, but they said that there may be a big announcement during the parade. So let's wait and see. Maybe he'll be out there for us again and not retire. We'll have to wait and see about that. And for President Trump, all he has to do is he needs to build a wall under the military, and that's all he needs to do. Hand it over to the military, fund the military, and get the wall done. In other words, get her done. That's what I got to say about the wall. Just get her done.
Thank you, Liberty Linda.
Thank you, Kevin. You have an absolutely marvelous day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning. We go to Nicole in Caldwell with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning. How are you?
I am living the dream, at least right now. And you?
Nice. I'm excited to hear you this morning. I used to have a different job, so I'd hear you every morning, and it's been a while. So
Well,
I had
welcome
a doctor's
back.
appointment early.
Yes.
So I heard on the right day though, because we sort of don't do Valentine's between my husband and I anymore. And but we do stuff for our girls, our kids, and one of them is a total bug queen, and so I'm super stoked to name a cockroach after her.
Wait a minute. You're all about naming a cockroach after someone?
She's going to be so excited. Yes, she is my bug queen. Both of my girls love bugs, so I'll probably end up doing it for both of them, but for sure the one.
Well, here's how you do it. You go to zooboise.org.
Okay.
And it's or here zooboise.org/support/cockroach/ or I think you just Google name a cockroach Zoo Boise, you'll get to it.
And it might show up.
Here you go. By naming a Zoo Boise cockroach after that special someone, your best friend or family member, this is how you do it. After purchasing it, we will email you the certificate. Just respond with what you want to name the cockroach. Must be approved by the staff, and we'll add it to the website. The cost is only $10. Or pair it with a discounted behind-the-scenes tour to give an extra special gift. And by the way, here you have it. The name a here, let me describe it to you. To my Valentine, I named a Zoo Boise cockroach after you. And you're going to love this one. Just like cockroaches, our love can survive anything.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And by the way, it's a brilliant marketing idea by Zoo
Right?
Boise. Yeah.
I agree. And
well-
we get zoo passes every year. My mom gets them for the family as a gift for Christmas.
Right.
So we like the zoo, and it's small but sweet, and we like it. We were stationed at Pendleton in California, so we're used to San Diego Zoo before we came back home. But my kids have grown to love the little zoo there, and so I'm excited to get to do that. I would have never heard about that, so I'm so glad my doctor appointment was this morning, and I got to hear about it.
Well, I'm glad you were listening to KIDO Talk Radio this morning, Nicole. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for sharing the story. Have a good day.
All right, and you have to call us with the reaction when your daughter gets the certificate about cockroach being named after her.
Okay, she's going to jump up and down screaming. She'll be so excited. But I will let you know for sure.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
What a nice young lady. See, someone wants to name a cockroach after a loved one. We're all living the dream this morning. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Back to name a cockroach. Would you do that? By the way, Zoo Boise, here's some other things. Name a cockroach certificate and a private giraffe tour. You can name a cockroach and have a private penguin tour. It goes on and on. More details, go to zooboise.com. Don't forget, Tuesday, we will be once again at Dave & Buster's. It is going to be something that you will not forget. Once again, it is the State of the Union watch party. Will the president look Nancy Pelosi in the face and declare a national emergency? When we talk to border agents, when we talk to other people that have been impacted by the situation at the border, how can you not say it is not a national emergency?
And when I hear them talking about the fact that walls are immoral and walls don't work, they know they work.
Exactly. And the idea that Democrats want border security, come on, really?
I think the Democrats don't want border security.
So we will take a look at that. And it really comes down to this. If you're with the president, you trust him. If you're not with the president, you're with the libs. Traffic and weather together, 107.5 FM.
Gabbert.
Thank you, Larry. It's been a great winter so far. When you think about it, it's been pretty mild. And even the ski areas, though, continue to get the snow and the rain and everything else. Keep it here for the Channel 7 weather every morning with Kevin Miller, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Coming up next, it is Lars Larson. We're looking forward to talking to Lars about a variety of issues, and particularly this governor of Virginia who just can't get out of his own way. All that and more on your home for Fox News in the Treasure Valley. 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.